And while the Democrats called Kamala Harris Madam President already, the official Democratic presidential nominee was in neighboring Wisconsin. She was campaigning with her running mate Tim Walz in Milwaukee when she made a surprise visit virtually.
A special surprise. It's my pleasure to introduce our party's official nominee for President of the United States, live from my home state of Wisconsin, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Joining us from exciting Chicago. The delegates at the Democratic National Convention, well, they just completed their roll call. And they have nominated Coach Walz and me to be the next Vice President and President of the United States of America. Just yesterday.
During the speech, Harris first criticized Trump for saying he had no regrets about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. She then spoke about the vision of hers versus Donald Trump.
As we all know, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. This is not just about us versus Donald Trump. This is about two very different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future, the other focused on the past. And Wisconsin, we fight for the future.
And speaking of Donald Trump, he wasn't very far away from the Democratic National Convention. He was visiting the town of Howell in neighboring state of Michigan. His visit to this specific town has come under criticism. The town has widely been associated with the Ku Klux Klan, a far-right white supremacist group that supports Hitler. In fact, during a march just last month, the protesters were heard chanting, "We love Hitler, we love Trump." Now, Trump and Republican Party have stopped short of criticizing the march.
We're here today to talk about how we are going to stop the Kamala crime wave that is going on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Over the past 4 years, the Marxist left has waged a vicious war on law enforcement in our country. They've taken away the dignity and the spirit and the life of some of these police officers, and that's why you see it.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is considering ending his campaign, and in some good news for Trump, the independent is thinking of joining forces with the Republican. Speaking to American media, Trump says that he would, quote-unquote, certainly be open to the idea. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani is joining us live from New York. Susan, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you as always. How are the Republicans looking at the DNC?
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of the DNC, despite having a lot of theatrics and the optics of it being quote unquote joyful, to use a word that they've been using, and very excited because of Kamala Harris, it really lacks policy. We haven't really heard what the policies of this new administration led by Harris will be, not only regarding the economy, which she set out a few policy memos, but ultimately regarding the border, regarding crime, and regarding other issues that are important to Americans. So, that'll be one of the biggest challenges for the DNC and one of their weaknesses that the Republicans will ultimately have to play on when it comes to policy. But nonetheless, it is a cause for concern for the Trump camp right now, because what Harris has managed to do is to close the gaps in the polls. And she is polling a lot closer to Donald Trump than President Biden.
All right, Susan, thank you so much for all those updates. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.